Hello, my name is Allison Merker Garner. I'm the creator and author of Musical Minds. Welcome. This is the viola segment of the movement that we are working on in integrating movement that is meaningful to the instrument. Because the violin and viola are so similar in setup, I'm doing the viola a little differently. So a lot of the things that I do particularly in the violin, would be pertinent to the viola. Some of the cello might be pertinent to the viola. But I'm going to do things a little differently just to provide a little bit more variety of the things that you can do with your students. So a little background. I use movement, the elements of art, the elements of language, and of course music to teach musical concepts. What I intend to do with my students, my intent in a lesson, is to provide them with a way in. Provide them with the tools to engage and interact with artistic concepts and aesthetics. What does that mean? What that means is I do things to open up their creative minds through the senses. So following the mirror neuron system, we take what we see and we take in what we hear and also what we feel with our hands or with our bodies. So kinesthetically, we take that information in and we assimilate that. And in so doing, we have a response to it. And in that response, we're using our brains. It's a cognitive process, and it opens up both sides of the brain. So we're having to discern and discriminate what we are taking in, assess that, and then have a feeling response to that. So every time I choose a movement or a book or a poem or a chant or a song or a dance or any kind of imagery, I'm thinking about bringing children to it so that they are involved in it. Sometimes it's really useful to introduce a concept, a musical concept, through imagery or through language or through movement first. Those are ways that children are actually, in this day and age, more accustomed to experiencing. So we will do a lot of that in this particular video. So you see how we start with something seemingly unmusical, but we're setting the environment, the mental, emotional, physical space for creative thought. When we're doing that, we're activating and stimulating those sensory responses. So the other thing I wanted to say is that since I am not focusing on movement for this particular video, there are movements that I want to show you that I didn't do in any of the other videos that would be pertinent to playing the viola. So we did a lot with bow arm with the movements that we did for the violin CD and the cello CD. Or not CD, well, yeah, the Suzuki CDs, I guess you could refer to it that way. I meant video. The left hand we didn't do as much, and I fractured my left elbow a month ago doing a pirouette at the bottom of my driveway on black ice, and I'm in therapy now. And the therapy is focused on being able to play the violin again. So what muscles are we using to do that? And so it's really been quite enlightening for me, because I'm having to learn how to use muscles again, maybe a little differently than I did before the accident. So, for example, we have our thumbs up this way, and then if we rotate so that we have our palms facing the floor and then back up again, that's a motion that we need to have, particularly with the left hand. Now, we could also go from this neutral position and then rotate with palms up, right? That's another twist that we have to do. Another one that we do a lot would involve taking your hand out, putting the thumb up again, and bringing the thumb to the shoulder, right? And just opening from the elbow to do that. If we turn the hand so that palm was up and did the same thing and touched the pinky to the shoulder, that's quite a stretch. And that's what you have to be able to do to play a violin or a viola in that position. So those motions can accompany any of the twinkle pieces and any of the Suzuki pieces that follow twinkle. You can move to the beat, you can move to the half note, and exercise that very carefully and gently, because I would say just, an 8-bar phrase and you're done. That's 8 repetitions. It's a lot for these little ones. So you could do that for the A part of a form, and then the B part of the form could be a different motion, and then return to the A part, or in the C do yet a third type of motion. But the point being that these are all needing to be in their movement repertoire, as it were. Turning the head this way. Now here's something that's interesting to me, because I've been playing for so long. I've played for 54, 55 years. So I don't remember starting the instrument. I don't remember that at all. Of course, I've taught many students, and I have my way of teaching it. But I'm now very aware of when I turn my head, I'm wanting to do something something funky to get my chin into the chin rest. We don't want that. We want to just turn and back, right? We just want to isolate that motion. We may have to do a little this, we may have to do that, but we don't want this. We don't want anything that causes tension. So those motions I did not incorporate in other videos. They would be very pertinent. And then another thing that I will not do with this CD, but is worth mentioning, is using the twinkle rhythms for Twinkle Theme. So subdividing is one of the things that we experience in many, many different ways in music time. But something about when you have this in your hand, it's very difficult to still think that way and move that way. So I start something simple like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star that has longer note values, and we do Mississippi Hot Dog with it. So it would be twinkle, 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 star. I can't do it. But we would listen to it and we would do the rhythm to it. Run, Susie, run, Susie, run, Susie, run, Susie, run, Susie, run, Susie, run, Susie. Whatever rhythms, whatever syllables you use, but just to get the feel of the subdivision is what I'm after. And that's very, very useful. You could add an instrument to that. You can add playing on an open string to that. There are many, many variations of that. But that is extremely useful because we're already subdividing from day one and then cutting the beat into 16th notes from the very beginning. And then we're getting half notes soon after that. So we've got all this complexity that the students have been doing away from the instrument, but they haven't been actually moving that way in the way that they would be playing. So to kind of ease that in, I think is a very helpful thing as well. So another thing before I begin that I just want to remind you of the 5 I's. So when we are using movement, we're using language, we're using the unpitched percussion instruments, when we're doing all the things that we're going to do now, what we're doing is that we're bringing the children into an awareness of what they are experiencing. And through that awareness, it's opening up their minds to creative thought, both sides of the brain being exercised. And the 5 I's lay out that process. To summarize, imagination. The second one is inspiration. The third is investigation. The fourth is immersion. And the fifth integrates and has intention. So when I am choosing movement, I'm choosing a book that has art images in it. When I'm using something that has texture, like a plush animal that brings the children in and gives them that comfort and safety and wanting to engage, all of those things are opening up the readiness to learn and the excitement and the motivation to be able to respond musically. So the first segment that we do is Mississippi Hot Dog. It's what we call it. You may call it Deedle Deedle Dumpling or something else. This first variation of Twinkle, and we're going to go through a couple of those and then get to Twinkle Theme. And I'm going to do them in different ways. And before we get into that, I'm going to set the environment. I'm going to set up the right environment for that kind of learning. So, to do that, we would start with something like a song. Well, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star is a song. So let's just move and sing. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. And we'd sing the whole thing just with the hand placement. If you want to use solfege and hand signals, it's fine. Some people have never learned that, it's fine. It's just a way of welcoming the children in and let's do something together. It also sets up the ear. It also warms up the body a little bit. And then I would perhaps move to a book, which is what I'm going to do now. This book is cleverly titled Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, and it has patterns in it. Each stanza is very clearly a new start to a new idea, and I like to signal that with an instrument or sound. I have a chime here. Can be any pitch. That signals that we're about to start something new. It's a little bit of a introduction into form. These children that would be on this book would be really small. They'd be really little. And so I do everything I can to draw them in. We look at pictures, we follow certain things, we look for some certain things, we listen for certain things, and that brings them into this. It gets them into the frame of mind I want them in when we listen to the CD that has the pieces they're learning on it. So, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star by Jane Cabrera. And so, put down my mallet. So we start out, and before we begin, I'll say, what's that? What is that? It's a star. Is it shiny? What do stars do? What do they look like? Are they always yellow? Just talking about the star, just bringing their awareness to that. And what do we have here? We have not just one owl, we have two. We have an owl and an owlet. So we have a parent and a baby. Let's see if we have parents and babies in this book. Let's see how many or what kinds of parents and babies we might find in this book. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Sparkle, sparkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Peeking through the silent trees. Is there a star in that picture? Do you see a parent and a baby? Do you know what those animals are? A deer. High above the deep blue seas, sparkle, sparkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Where's the star in this picture? And what animals do we have here? What have we seen so far? We've seen owls, and we've seen deer, and we've seen whales. What's in this picture? Rabbits. We have a parent and a baby. And yes, the star is here too. Flicker, flicker, little star, how I wonder what you are. Smiling down on desert dry, lightening up the cold night sky. Flicker, flicker, little star, how I wonder what you are. So in this picture, we have polar bears. And there's the star. Do you see it? Shimmer, shimmer, little star, how I wonder what you are. Over zigzag roofs so high, where the mountains meet the sky. Shimmer, shimmer, little star, how I wonder what you are. So, where's the star? And we have, what animals? What sound does a kitty cat make? What sound does a baby kitty cat make? And we have a star in this picture too. Do you know what kind of birds these are? They're hawks. What would your hawk nose look like? Glisten, glisten, little star. How I wonder what you are. Up above the grassy plain, through the warm, wet jungle rain. Glisten, glisten, little star. How I wonder what you are. Well, there is still a star there, but it looks like it may be a little windy, doesn't it? And what does the rain sound like? What would it sound like if it were coming down really fast and hard? And what would it sound like if it came down very, very slowly? Twinkle, twinkle, little star, the whole world wonders what you are. Shine your twinkly magic light over all the earth tonight. Twinkle towns and trees, whoops, I missed. Twinkle over towns and trees, fields and farms, lakes and seas. Twinkle, twinkle up above, for me and for the one I love. So we have a mama and a baby. Are you a baby? No. But you were a baby. And I was a baby. It's kind of hard to believe, but I was a baby a long time ago. We all are babies before we become older. So let's now listen to our CD, and we're going to move to that. So normally if I were in a class, I would do the movements that they would follow, and I would assign certain instruments to certain children. so I wouldn't be doing all of it. But some of the older kids that have been in the class for a little bit longer, they can take some responsibility and do some of the things that would perhaps challenge them a little bit more. So that gives you a few ideas. Now, the next piece that we have in the viola book is French folk song. And French folk song is in 3/4 meter. And sometimes I introduce 3/4 meter doing yes, no, no, yes, no, no. Sometimes I introduce it with movement and putting an accent on every fourth beat, and then every second beat, and then every third beat. So they see the difference. They feel the difference. You could also do a down, up, up, down, up, up with your feet. So those are all ways that you can use a 3/4 movement pattern. Here's one more. The knees, hands, snap is another one that I use a lot. So I'm not going to use those now, but they're certainly applicable. And you actually could, if we had multiple people here, one person could be doing the slap clap, and someone else could be on an instrument, and someone else could signal the beginning of every new formal section. So that's another way of doing that. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my bass xylophone. So I'm going to take this video. I hope you don't get seasick. But here you see some of the instruments that I've been using, the chimes and the, let's see, here we have the chimes, we have xylophone, we have the sand blocks, and the bass xylophone over here that we have. So that's what I'm going to be using next, is the bass xylophone. And it oftentimes provides the bass line, or the, in this level, the bourdon. I do use it later for bass lines, but that's more advanced. But we would use it, the fifth, and that would be D and A. But we're in 3/4, so we have to count 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So the child that's on that has to think in 3/4. So here we go. So I just did D and A. You can also do open strings. You can also do the fifth on the piano. Very early on, I will add a little bit of harmony that they have to discern. So, of course, we have two important notes in a key, the first note and the fifth note, and that is one of our magic patterns. Here it would be like, right? So, do, do, so, do. So what we would do is have them start on the do, start on the D, and when they hear that it might need to change, but they're not sure, they try the A, and they just mess around with it. Nobody's telling them it changes to A here, now you need to play the D. No, 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 no. You need to do the D again. None of that. They just do it by ear. And that would be more advanced than what I just did. But I would start doing that in book 1. So they're having to think in those ways very early on. And they're good at it. And this, they don't always come up with what I would do, but that doesn't mean anything, right? Another thing you can do is rhythmically, I was just doing the dotted half notes, but you could do a rhythm like this. Or straight quarter notes. So there's no, it is entirely what you want to teach and how you want to challenge your students. The next one is lightly row, and I do set this up with a book. Now here's another use of a book. This one is a sailboat book. It is more of an aesthetic feel. When we do lightly row, we want to be relaxed, at ease. We're not in a hurry. It's like a sailboat. And so I set up the mood for this piece using something like this, either a poem or a picture or a book that gives us that feel. We may use the movement of a sailboat and explore that and compare that with that of a speedboat. We've done that before. That we glide. So everything is very smooth and legato, right? We're doing legato movements. So here is Serena the Sailboat, and by Laura Tomei Young. Serena the sailboat wakes up with the sun. She's ready for daytime and ready for fun. Danny the dolphin calls out with glee, let's have an adventure, let's go out to sea. The sun is shining, let's go sailing today. The ocean awaits us, let's go out and play. Up comes the anchor and up goes the sail. Untie the ropes and they're off in the gale. Out of the marina, friends call out as they pass, and Simon the seagull takes a ride on the mast. Sunny the starfish waves under the dock, and Carl the crab shouts, hello, from the rock. Santiago the seal barks goodbye as they go. With a wave of his flipper, he makes quite a show. What would that look like? Can you wave with your flipper? What would that look like? Out on the sea, they see Wally the whale. He blows a water spout and flips his great tail. The ocean is blue, the sun is up high. It's a fine-looking day. The sun, sea, and sky. Oh, look at the ocean. If I drew my finger over the top of the ocean, would it be a straight line or would it be a curvy line? And how do you think that sailboat is sailing? Do you think he's going up and down a lot? Or do you think he's smooth? I think he's probably rolling a little bit, just like the line that we followed with our fingers. Just then a gray stingray glides by in a flash, and a great school of fish who make a big splash. The beautiful ocean with all of its charms, they spot a red octopus with 8 lovely arms. Let me see your 8 lovely arms. Let me see what they look like. How do they move? But way up in the sky, dark clouds start to form. The sun is blocked out. Here comes a storm. Look at our water now. What do you think that would be like to be a sailboat on that? How would you move? Would it be bumpy? The whitecaps grow high as the wind starts to blow. The little boat bobs and tilts to and fro. I must find safe harbor, she says with a shout. A place safe from the waves as we ride this storm out. And there in the distance they spy the right place. Serena sets her sails firmly and rides in great haste. Do you know what haste means? It means fast. How would you sail fast? How would you sail slowly? Do you think it's easy for a sailboat to sail fast? I don't know. I would think it would be hard on the water. Watch out for the rocks, shouts Simon the Gull, for rocks are a danger to the little boat's hull. Safe in the harbor wait the three little friends till the sun comes back out, and like that, the storm ends. Heading back home as the sun starts to set, the ocean is calm now. There's no need to fret. Serena sails into the harbor. She's ready to rest. It's been quite a day. Her friends are the best. Do you see Serena, the sailboat, in this picture? How do you know that's her? Because of her shape? I want everybody to take a turn and follow the shape of Serena. That's how we know who she is. It's by her shape. Now down with the sails, tie up for the night. Drop deep the anchor, and now it's twilight. Good night, my dear friends. Good night, Big Blue Sea. We'll dream of adventure. Oh, what fun it will be. The end. So once again, we would have different children on different instruments, and they'd listen for that form. And the child that's playing on the B part has to play again later. So that's lightly row. Song of the Wind, we could introduce this one. I have a book that I'm going to use. And after the book sets the mood, we could do a cat song, like The Old Gray Cats Are Sleeping, or Naughty Kitty Cat's really good because it has the rest, and we have a rest in Song of the Wind. So we could actually practice the rest with using Naughty Kitty Cat. So we're going to do that progression. So you see how that goes from a very broad sensory experience and starts to narrow down into what we want to do in the lesson on the instrument. So this book I just purchased. I'm very excited about it because of the illustrations. It's also very repetitive, which is wonderful for small children because they love being able to anticipate what's coming next, and they might even chant it with you, they look forward to that. So it's a real engaging book. And it's called They All Saw a Cat by Brendan Wenzel. Once again, when I read this, I introduce things to look for, things to interact with in the book. What is that a picture of? Look at the tail. I followed the tail up and down. It's not straight, is it? Even the back of the kitty cat is not straight. The cat walked through the world with its whiskers, ears, and paws. The child saw a cat. I need someone to play for me. Child. Wrong side. Here's a wood block that sounds like a wood block. Child. Ooh, do you see how he's petting the kitty? How would you pet a kitty? Remember, a kitty is not straight. Kitty has a head and a back and a tail that's going up like that. So, what do you think his fur feels like? Is it soft? Is it bristly? And the dog saw a cat. I need another player. Dog. What do we have so far? 1, 2. And the fox saw a cat. 1, 2, 3. I need someone to play that for me. 1, 2, 3. Yes, they all saw the cat. Is the cat running? That's a fast kitty. Do you think he's afraid of being caught by the fox? How do you know he's going fast? Look at this. Look at the grass. And their paws and legs are splayed out. You can tell they're going fast. The ears are back. The cat walks through the world with its whiskers, ears, and paws. And the fish saw the cat. Ooh. And the mouse saw the cat. Think this is an angry kitty or a hungry kitty? What do you think? I think maybe hungry and angry. And the bee saw a cat. If you look at this, does it look like dots? But when you stand back from it, it looks like a cat. Yes, they all saw the cat. The cat walked through the world with its whiskers, ears, and paws. And the bird saw a cat. And the flea saw the cat. Can you find the flea? Where is that flea? Deep in the cat's fur, where it's warm, I expect. And the snake saw a cat. And the skunk saw a cat. And the worm saw the cat. And the bat saw a cat. Yes, they all saw the cat. what's funny about that picture? Is the cat upside down? It looks like this picture, doesn't it? If I turned it the other way, it's really the same picture. But you're right. The texture's different, isn't it? This one, what colors do you see? And this one, what colors do you see? And they're more like lines, aren't they? They're not polka dots. Ooh, this cat has all of the different patterns in it. Yes, they all saw a cat, a child, a dog, a fox, a fish, a mouse, a bee, a bird, a flea, a snake, a skunk, a worm, a bat. How many is that? The cat knew them all, and they all knew the cat. And the cat walked through the world with its whiskers, ears, and paws, and it came to water. And imagine, what did the cat see? His reflection in the water. So, what kind of sound does a kitty cat make? Oh, I need to hear a stronger kitty. Excuse me. That's not a sound that a kitty cat makes. Meow. 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 This is my kitty cat, Sylvester. Do you want to say hello to him? He's a little bit shy. Can you help him feel welcome? Give him a little bit of a petting. Say hello to him. Maybe tell him your name, and he'll feel better. Naughty kitty cat, meow, you are very fat, meow. You have butter on your whiskers, naughty kitty cat, meow. Naughty kitty cat, meow. You are very fat, meow. You have butter on your whiskers, naughty kitty cat, meow. Naughty kitty cat, meow. You are very fat, meow. You have butter on your whiskers, naughty kitty cat. What kind of kitty cat do you have? Do you have a shy kitty? Or do you have an angry kitty? And why don't we now say goodbye to Sylvester before we leave? And we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to use our arm instead of meow. Naughty kitty cat, meow. You are very fat, meow. You have butter on your whiskers, naughty kitty cat, meow. It's like a kitty cat tail, isn't it? It's like a kitty cat's tail. It's not straight, and it moves from the body. It doesn't move just at the little tip, and that's it. It's the whole tail. So I'm not going to say meow this time. I wonder if you know when to move your tail. Naughty kitty cat, you are very fat. You have butter on your whiskers, naughty kitty cat. you able to move your tail at the right time? There's one that goes very quickly. Did you notice that one? Who knows how many times we did this? Did you count them? When you practice with your CD at home, count how many times you move your tail through Song of the Wind. So after Song of the Wind, we have Go Tell Aunt Rhody. Move some of this aside. So we have Go Tell Aunt Rhody next. And one of the things that I also do with these is to add an ostinato of the pattern that we practiced in group class or in some kind of group setting. So if we did quarter, eighth, eighth, if that were the rhythmic pattern that we explored in class, that's the same as Go Tell Aunt, right? It's the same as the beginning of Go Tell Aunt Rhody. That would be a good ostinato to lift out because it's something that mimics, it's just quoting some part of the song that they're going to learn. You could also do the half notes. The bourdon would work very well for something like that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the ostinato and play it all the way through the piece, and I would set this up, as I say, in group class or some group activity first. We would do either the dowel rods, quarter, quarter, half, and the dancer inside would do dum bum 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 to get the subdivision in there. We also have several chants that have quarters and eighths in them that we could use a quarter, eighth, eighth as an ostinato. So anything like that would be a great way to begin, away from the instrument, and then we would be ready to do with Go Tell Aunt Rhody. So I've got a wood block. So that is as far as I'm going to go with the pieces and accompanying them. I think that gives you an idea of the possibilities with that. One other thing that I want to introduce that I think is worth mentioning is when we get into the more advanced pieces. When we're getting into the more advanced pieces, we can do more with them. The kids are more sophisticated, they can handle more, they're more coordinated, and so you can have more going on. So if you wanted to take several children and build a kind of orchestration underneath the Suzuki pieces, I would always start with the bourdon, and for the viola books that would be D and A. For the beginning pieces in violin it'd be A and E. For the cello, it would be D and A, and for the piano, it would be C and G. So just taking that fifth that you have in all the beginning pieces and playing half notes, either on the instrument of their choice or on a piano or a barred instrument, just to establish that. Then you could have children that are doing an ostinato. Dum, bum, 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 throughout. Then you can have the movement kids. They have to come up with a movement to show the half note that's coming up or the circle that's coming up. They have to demonstrate that the form has changed to a new section. Have them come up with that, or an image that they may have for that. They may have images that signify different parts of the form. This is where it's really kind of difficult to do this on a video, but I will explain to the best of my ability. What I have done is I will have paper and crayons out for children. And I like those flat crayons, the ones that are, well, they're flat, they're angular. So you can really do thick lines with them. So there's a resistance, right? It's not pointy. So you've got a resistance there. And I have them move on the page with that, and they make a Go Talent roadie picture just based on their windshield wiper. I have had children do dots and lines to signify what they're hearing. There's no right or wrong, but if they hear separate notes, usually they're dots. If they hear notes that are long, usually they have a long line there. If they don't, it's okay. They're still listening and they're still discriminating. They may have a different way of expressing it. But I've used it that way as well. So that's rhythm, and then the other one is just a motion that you use when you play, and that's following rhythm. I've also used colors a lot for mode changes and quality changes, like in Allegro when we have staccato and legato. The character changes completely in that piece, and to signify that, we assign a different color. I've also had children draw me a story or tell me a story. What happens in that B part? What happens? You start out like this, and then something happens. What is it? And so they have to come up with something that relates to the quality, the aesthetic quality of the change. So all of those ways of integrating texture and art and color and the story, it's very helpful in being able to engage with it. You know, if they are engaging with a book or they're engaging with a movement, then it's not a big jump to engage to something oral. It really isn't. Particularly if we keep the movement or we keep the story and we just transition to the Suzuki piece or whatever piece that they're working on, and it becomes a connection there. And it's not too far from that to play, particularly if they're rehearsing some of the motions in the rhythm or in the melodic line of what they're going to be playing, so that by the time they do get to the instrument, they really do have a lot of sensory information in place. And that's what I want. I want them, when they are playing for the first time, they're thinking about posture, they're thinking about what their fingers are doing or what their bow needs to do. Yes, they're thinking about that, but it's not so unfamiliar that they're tense about it. They can ease into it, and the transition into thinking about what sound they're producing is much quicker because they're not worried about coordination. So hopefully this has been some assistance to you. As I said before, these can be done with any of the instruments, not just viola. So it would behoove everyone to see what all the possibilities are. So thank you for listening, and I hope you have some good teaching ahead of you.